don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD, Annabelle, and Melissa.
Hey guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD. With me, as always, my wonderful co-host.
Hello,
Melissa. And we have a pretty good show for you today, and I'm really excited. Another prior military member, and Kevin Brenner, founder, CEO of Nimbus Capital. Thanks for coming on our show today. We appreciate you filling in our last minute cancellation.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Getting on the docket.
Yeah, absolutely. I had an opening as well, so it worked out, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. Well, usually the way it goes is we ask you to introduce yourself to our audience and let them know why they should listen to you and what kind of important knowledge you have.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I'll take a quick 30 here. So my name is Kevin Brenner, founder and CEO of Nimbus Capital. We're a micro private equity firm dedicated to helping real estate professionals, agents, lenders, brokers create true wealth through a fund of funds concept into multifamily real estate. So it's really cool. Essentially, we aggregate a bunch of funds together. We've built amazing partnerships with some of the top syndicators in the country, and we invest in those deals that you just wouldn't be able to get, and you get all the tax benefits and you get no fees. So it's really, really cool. That's one model. And then also, I'm obviously an investor on the side. I have a small portfolio that I manage, and I'm an educator in the active duty passive income community, as well as the co-host of the Active Duty Passive Income podcast. But that is pretty much it in a nutshell, man.
That's great. Well, I guess what we want to know, because getting to raising your own funds and syndicating deals, that's a pretty big can of worms to open up. But you didn't just jump straight into syndicating deals, right? Where did you get your start, and how did you come up, and what then led you to the syndication type life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I started this, believe it or not, like a little over 3 years ago. So just that just goes to show the acceleration curve that you can have from knowing pretty much nothing about real estate and being, renting and just being scared of big purchases to launching a major private equity firm. So that's how, obviously I fell in love and I educated myself and, been nonstop for the past 3 years, pretty much no breaks. But point being is I got started all by learning the power of the VA loan. So I am still active duty. I don't know when this show is going to come out, but I do get out in August. So if it comes out before then, I'll still be active duty. If not, I'll be a veteran, But but I learned all of this. I was in Savannah, Georgia. My really good friend, shout out to Ray Northcutt. He came up to me and he said, "Hey man, I just purchased my 7th home." And I said, "What? How? I'm a captain. You're a first lieutenant. I make more money than you. That doesn't make any sense." And he told me, no. This is good debt because tenants are paying it down. And that just blew my mind, right? So long story short, I educated myself. Obviously, I read the Purple Bible, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, fell in love with the concept of financial freedom, financial independence through real estate, and started networking. And 3 months after Ray telling me this while we were playing volleyball, I purchased a quadplex, bought a 4-unit property with my VA loan, then popped orders and had to move up to Washington, D.C. And so I didn't actually have to move into the property like you normally would with a residential loan, right? VA or FHA. So I was able to keep the tenants where they were. And it was a classic value add play, completely under rented. The seller didn't have the internet. She didn't know that you can advertise things on the internet. And she was advertising the things in Penny Saver, the little grocery, in Georgia, the little thing that you get in the grocery store. That's where she was advertising these things. And obviously the tenants were just stealing rent from her. I mean, they were getting a complete steal. And so she actually stayed in the place and unfortunately recently passed away. So God rest her soul, because she was such a wonderful, wonderful lady. But she stayed in the place, and I was able to rent out 3 other units, raise their rent, renovate all of them, really have a great value add. And that cash flows, $2,000 a month, easy. And then from there, I went and bought some other properties right up the street, same quadplex, raised $85,000 in 2 weeks because I found an epic deal. Same thing, had the management in place, had the contractors in place, called my buddy, my old college roommate living out in LA. I was like, hey man, you just got $100,000 bonus, working in Hollywood. Why don't you put that money to work? And we did. And now we've since renovated. That's a great value add play, because what we did was actually added a bedroom to each one of the units. So it was a 2-bed, 1.5 bath. Now they're 3-bed, 1.5 bath. So during the renovation, we forced a ton of appreciation and value. And we bought that for $318. They're the one that is listed literally next door to us, just put on the market for $699. So like, dang, let's go. So I was stoked to hear that, because, some dodo is going to go and buy that for $699 and thinking cash flow. It can't, but that's just the way the market's going right now. People are buying things on the market for just insane money. So my tip for your listeners out there is, if you are trying to actively find deals and you are looking on the market, good luck. You better start developing systems that get you deals off market, whether that's wholesalers, whether that's, reaching out for FSBOs and direct sale by owner and getting deals on terms. You got to do something more creative, because the MLS is like the easy way out. And because it's easy, it's expensive. And usually, unless you're in like crazy market, usually you're not going to cash flow. And what are you getting into real estate for if you don't cash flow?
Right, absolutely. And the train can only go up for so long before it plateaus or levels out. And you don't want to be the one catching the bag or holding the bag when that happens. I think that we have seen some deals on the MLS, but they're few and far between. And if you don't have the knowledge to take it from where it's at and do that value add type stuff, you're probably not going to be in a positive cash flow type situation. Every single investor that's out there, all of the big guys. Matter of fact, Melissa checks the MLS new listings every single morning at like 5 a.m. so that we know if there's something that's coming on. And if it hits a couple of boxes of criteria, then we're already going to be putting an offer in, already going to be calling it. And other investors are out there doing the exact same thing. You're not going to find, unless you're creative or they're open to some sort of creative deal structure, finding a good deal on the MLS, especially right now, is extremely difficult. We're big proponents of going direct to seller or working with wholesalers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Well, I was just going to say, so you got your first fourplex, you raised some money with your, I guess it was a private money type relationship, right? What was your next step and where did you go from there? You're looking for bigger and better things?
Yeah. So, I kind of got to this point where I got a couple quadplexes, went through the renovation process, was managing the contractors and like managing the property managers and making money, it's cash flowing. And, the community at Active Duty Passive Income, I had since gotten involved with them and adding value and ended up running their podcast and writing books for them and blah, 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 all this stuff. But I was surrounded by this mastermind of other people who are just doing amazing things, much bigger than me. So I always like to be the dumbest guy in the room, and I kind of soak up and sit in the back and listen and just be a sponge. I love that. So I felt that way in the, the ownership level of ADPI. And I was able to just learn so much from people like Tim Kelly and Eric Upchurch and Mike Foster and Mark Yansich and all these people who are just doing, thousands of units. And like, okay, well, economies of scale, 1,000 units is bigger than 4. So like how, how do I get into this? And I went down that road, but I ran into a tremendous roadblock. And that was, I really don't like asset management. I just don't like it. I didn't like it when I was working with the contractors. I didn't like being a babysitter to other adults. I don't really like it to the property managers. Now I still do it for the assets that I have. But I went into this and I was like, okay, I'm going to go syndicate mobile home parks. And we went and we put offers in and we did all this stuff, built a team, did that. And eventually I just pulled out and I said, guys, I really don't want to do this. Like, what am I doing? So I kind of pulled back, and a friend of mine who's an attorney came up to me and said, why don't you just start a fund? And I was like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean? What a fund? And he's like, and he explained the whole model to me. And then I took it and ran with it, and created more of a unique spin-off model to the fund of funds, which is able to go in and purchase and invest in other portfolio companies, other syndicators. And what that allows me to do is, because our fund, right, like our aggregate is the primary limited partner in their deals, right, and all these other operators' deals. So I don't have to be the asset manager. They're the asset manager. The fund is passive. What I'm responsible for is my investors. And what I love doing, oh, by the way, is talking with investors, getting them great returns, and doing that piece. Like, that's where I wanted to be. So I kind of carved out my own niche of like, how can I get into large multifamily or mobile home parks or self-storage development, which we do all of that. How can I get into that without having to be the asset manager? Now the assets are my investors, and that's what I love doing. So kind of a win-win.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
When you're looking at these investors, you're bringing them on. These are all accredited investors, sophisticated investors. What are you looking at as far as that goes?
Yeah. So we're a 506c, so it's accredited investors only, and that's why I'm able to talk about it freely. But to be honest, a lot of them, and this goes to a problem that I identified living in Washington, D.C. So I've been in D.C. now for a couple of years, and the market here is, you can imagine, just bananas. It's like, oh, there's I rent straight up. I don't buy here. I have no intention of ever buying here, because I could rent for like 10 years before it would make sense for me to like own a property here. Like, that's how expensive things are. So I'm talking and networking with all these real estate agents, and I see what they're doing, and they're, I see the Porsches, I see the suits, I see the whole, luxury, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then I talk with them, and they're paying $20,000 to $40,000 a quarter in taxes. And they think, and this is the attitude, right? This is the attitude, JD. It's like, I'm so blessed that my business is going so well that I'm able to pay the government, that I'm so blessed to be in a position to pay this much in taxes. And that I was like, they tell me this, and I'm just like, guys, let's have a conversation here, because you don't have to do that. Like, you can invest in multifamily, syndications, invest in funds, invest in something, put your money to work, your commissions to work. And if you qualify as a real estate professional in the eyes of the IRS, guess what? You can write off the deductions you get from your passive income, can get written off of your active income, which, guess what? Your active income is your commissions. And when I tell people that, I have a whole masterclass where I break it down like a lot more. And I'm kind of going on this antique roadshow type, going to all these brokerages around DC and around the country. And I tell them this, and it's free value. I just teach to their teams, because, the last couple of years, the market in the real estate world has been so hot that these agents are accredited. They don't even know it. Like, if you're an agent and you're listening to this right now, if you sell between $10 and $15 million in real estate, you're probably accredited. Unless you're getting hosed by your broker, you're probably accredited. So
that might be the case.
Well, and it could be, it could be. So then I just talk to the brokers. No, I'm just playing. No, but like, for real, I want to help. I want to help out, because what I tell people is, when you reach that accreditation threshold, and I know this is getting advanced, and I'm not going to go into it, but when you reach that threshold, there is no publishers clearinghouse, big check balloons knocking on your door. The SEC doesn't send you a letter. No one tells you that, congratulations, you're accredited, and it starts raining confetti. No one does that. So if you don't know about what it means in the private placement world of unregistered securities, what accreditation actually means, then you are just living in, I guess, blissful ignorance and happily paying $40,000 a quarter to the IRS, when you could be paying half of that and making double-digit returns and doubling your money in like 5 years. Like, it's crazy. So that's kind of my passion. And I'll tell you, my goal, JD, is to reach 1,000 real estate agents with this information. I don't care. I don't care if they invest with me. I don't care. I don't care if they invest with you. Like, I just want them to change their attitude. Because I talk to agents and they don't flip this switch in their head. It eventually flips, but it's usually like 15 years into the game. And if I can catch someone who's coming up at 2 years and maybe they reach accreditation at 5 years, they already have a plan built out. They can exit the hustle at year 10 and live the life of their dreams. So that's what I'm passionate about.
Yeah, I think that's great. Providing the education is there, and even letting these guys who are not accredited yet know what happens when you become. Because to be honest, I know a lot of real estate agents and a lot of young or first year real estate agents. They're not coming anywhere close to that. But they get there. The ones that stick with it are going to get there, and eventually they're going to be running their own teams and making a lot of money. And the real estate professional criteria, very specifically defined, right? Once you hit that, and you can start writing off all of your active income, and it's kind of a no-brainer. It's almost, you're agreeing to pay the government more money than you're required to if you choose to do it that way. Now, obviously, we would refer people to their own tax professionals, but sure. There's definitely some value in these conversations and just hearing about what's out there, because like you said, nobody lets you know when you meet that threshold. And so if you're not doing the self-education type stuff to figure it out, you're never going to know. Well, I guess where we're at now is if people are interested in finding out more about this and finding more about you, where are we going to send them? Where should we be looking?
Yeah. So the fund opportunity that we just launched, Stratus Fund 1, it's open right now, and you can learn all about it on Nimbus Capital. So it's www.rise, R-I-S-E, with W-I-T-H, Nimbus, Nimbus.com. That's our tagline, Rise with Nimbus. And you'll find all the information out there. You'll be able to contact me, do all of that stuff. We'll hop on the phone and I'll answer all your questions. But really, the thing I want to implore is not so much where to find me. It's to, how do I change that mindset? If I can influence, if I can have one person listening to this podcast right now who might be a real estate professional, lender, broker, agent, and just have a light bulb go off in their head, say like, hey, there's other ways to exit the rat race, exit the hustle, because it might be exciting in your career right now, transaction to transaction. Yeah, I got another one under contract, got 5 under contract. But I promise you that gets old really quickly. And that's why you see these agents building teams and becoming brokers. But the big problem here, guys, is that who is teaching these people? Well, the brokerage is technically responsible for teaching them, or the real estate or the real estate association is teaching them, but they're all agents. So it's agents teaching agents. And I hate to say this, but sometimes it's like the blind leading the blind here. and if you don't have that outside exposure of other, wealth advisors or whoever you have in your circle, if you don't have those people kind of nudging you in that direction, you're just going to be, squandering your money. And it's sad because those commissions are hard to come by. You've put a lot of work into that, and you should be able to help, they should be working for you very, very hard. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
absolutely. And I think, you mentioned it a couple of times, but we do want to tell everybody, especially our military listeners, to hop over to that ADPI podcast. It's a great podcast, tons of value. Tons of high-level dudes doing real estate every single day, and they are doing it as active duty members, active duty and veterans. There's a lot of value over there
I appreciate that, man.
For the new guys, but also for the older guys that have been around for a little while. They're still getting value over there at ADPI. All right, I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have anything?
No, thank you very much for sharing that wealth of knowledge for sure.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on the show today, and we look forward to talking to you again.
All right, thanks y'all. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, check out our website, therealestatejam.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Real Estate Jam. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at therealestatejam@gmail.com. See you next episode.